There's a disease which is running through all of us, and it's affecting how we perceive risk. It's affecting how we perceive trying to achieve a desirable outcome. And that disease is certainty. Now, the reason why I call it a disease is because it's affecting all of us on a day-to-day basis. And it's shown through how we feel and how we react to certain things. Now, as humans, we feel comfortable and content in knowing that something is guaranteed to happen. We can trust it. But in things like trading, where risk is being applied constantly, us being uncertain about the outcome is what will start making us feel certain emotions, start making us a bit more emotionally volatile about what's happening. I'll give you guys a quick story, right? So there was a time when I was younger and I was essentially doing swimming classes because I wanted to learn how to swim, right? So my parents took me to the local school, which had a leisure centre to be able to learn how to swim. Now, it was coming to one of the end classes, right? And what the teacher did was she would basically drop a brick into the swimming pool. And as you know, bricks don't float, so it went to the right bottom. But what she wanted to do was she wanted to line us up along this swimming pool, and she wanted us to jump in, get the brick, and swim back to the top, right? Now, this swimming pool would get progressively deeper and deeper. Now, she lined us all up into who would be more competent in going deep into the swimming pool. So you'd have the shit guys on one side who just don't know how to swim, and they'd be in their little shallow end. Whereas me and some of the other competent guys at swimming, we'd be in the more deeper end where the water goes like twice, more than double the size of our height. Now, me, I was being a kid, I wasn't very happy at the fact that I was put on the deep side. When she dropped the brick into the water, I could not see where the brick was. So it was literally, she dropped it in, it made a massive splash, and then it went down to the bottom, and I couldn't see where it was, and I couldn't see where the bottom was. So I could tell in myself that this where I was being stood to jump into in the swimming pool was quite deep. And how I was feeling at the moment, I was quite fearful, I'll be honest. I was quite scared. Now, something funny happened, right? So one by one, everyone was jumping in the water and getting their brick out of the water. Everyone on the shallow end jumped in, they were able to do it. But when it came to me, I did not want to jump in that deep end. So what I did was I jumped so far to the right towards the shallow end where I almost took out the guy standing next to me as well, because I didn't want to jump in the deep end. I wanted to jump in a shallow end. So I had essentially fear because I didn't like the fact that I had to jump so deep in the water. I didn't know if I was going to even survive. I was being that kid just thinking, oh, I might drown. Something's going to happen to me. Because I didn't want to jump that deep into water. I preferred being in a place where I wouldn't have the risk of drowning, essentially. Now, obviously, I'm in a very controlled environment, so it would be very impossible for me to drown because I've got trained professionals around me. But at the time, I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about my own safety, so I didn't want to jump in and drown. But this story essentially highlights is that when it comes to trading, we can't, if we allow the human urge of wanting to feel certainty when it comes to our trading, we're not going to get very far because you have to be able to take risk. taking risk is one of the hardest things that humans can do, because it's when you put things on the line, we just find it very hard to be able to weather the storm when it comes to something happening. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned in my trading is that scared money doesn't make money. For the vast majority of my time doing a prop firm challenge, I was risking very little. And I was doing that because I was trying to prove to myself that I was a good trader, that I could get myself out of drawdown back to break even, making profits with controlled, comfortable risk. And even if I did lose a trade, I'd think, oh, it doesn't really matter because I hardly lost anything. The risk was barely on the table. Now, obviously, all of us would like to risk little and make massive reward. But it just doesn't work like that, to be honest. And again, this is one of the biggest things that I learned, that if you want to be able to make significant impact on the result that you're trying to achieve, in this case trading, making a monetary result, you have to put risk on the table. But the problem is that when essentially your livelihood, your lifestyle is on the line with trading, it can really start to induce a lot of emotions. And it can start to induce fear, anxiety, FOMO, things like this. And as humans, we're not really... It's quite unnatural to us. It's not something that we're meant to be experiencing on a day-to-day basis, right? Because when you put risk on in trading and you're watching the fluctuations of numbers on the screen, it's really hard for your mind to comprehend that. And so you start experiencing volatility in your emotions in a very unnatural way. As humans, we're not made to feel volatility in our emotions. We're not made to feel happy and then sad very quickly. And so what we have to do to be able to... what we have to understand is that we have to get used to taking risk. But the idea is that we shouldn't be going up in risk too dramatically, because then you'll be inviting emotional volatility. You'll more likely... You'll be inviting the opportunity to do things impulsively based on how you're currently feeling rather than what's actually happening. The best thing to do would be to start off small and go higher, slowly and slowly. That's essentially what scaling is. But when you start off super high, you're essentially jumping in the deep end. But there is a positive and a negative side to this. It's a double-edged sword, right? Because although jumping in the deep end does get you used to seeing and experiencing those sort of feelings, because it's something that you're going to have to experience at some point anyway, seeing progressively larger figures. The first few times it's not going to be nice at all whatsoever. Same thing is with losing too, as I discussed in my previous video about losing. The first few times when you lose, it's not going to be a nice feeling at all. It's going to hurt. But the aim is to be able to swallow the pill and get used to it, essentially. And this is the whole process of detaching yourself from the outcome of trading, detaching yourself from trading itself. And that can only happen when you do things over and over again. You put the reps in and you get used to it, right? Obviously, all of us in the gym, when we first go to the gym for the first time and we start working out, our muscles feel so sore and we literally cannot even extend our arms, for example. Like, I just did leg day yesterday and my legs feel a bit sore. It's hard to walk. You can't even sit down comfortably. But progressively over time, as you keep doing it, your muscles won't feel that sore anymore. You can still go about your day to day, even after you've had a workout. And that's essentially what I mean by getting used to these sort of things. Now, the problem with this is when it comes to trading, and when you're in demo especially, you don't experience these sort of things. And I believe you have to experience these sort of times in order to be able to make substantial progress and see results. Whereas in demo, the problem with demo is that you're not experiencing these things. You've got nothing on the line. You have nothing real on the line. And so you're not actually experiencing the real game of trading. You're not going to experience the real psychological issues with yourself and how you're built as a human unless you get into live trading. It's all well and good doing things in backtesting and in demo, but it doesn't mean anything. As I'll say again, you can have the most amazing business idea, but if you don't know how to deliver it to the market, then it means nothing. You won't make anything. You could have the best trading plan, you could be the best analyst, but if you don't know how to participate, put risk down, and manage the trade, it means nothing. And this is essentially what you have to do in order to actually find results in trading. You have to learn to get used to being in the game. There's a reason why, like, athletes, when they're in training, they're absolutely amazing. But when it comes to performing on the big stage, in front of a crowd, in front of an audience, they can mess up. And that's normal. And that's experience. It's amazing experience to get. It's just the fact that it will happen in the early stages and it's going to feel shit in the early stages. But the more you do it and the more you get used to it, the less you care about what's going to happen. And the more you can focus on your stoicism, on taking the correct decisions. I'm sure the top athletes, they don't even care about the big stage anymore because they've seen it so many times to the point where the novelty of having that atmosphere, it doesn't even bother them anymore. Especially the major athletes, the top less than 1% people like Messi and Ronaldo, the top performing footballers, for example. They've performed in so many World Cups, so many tournaments, so many league games. The whole environment and the atmosphere of performing in that, it just doesn't bother them anymore. And so this is the same thing you have to achieve with your trading. The big stage for you is trading live or trading your prop firm account or whatever it is. Something that's actually going to make you real money. Something that's actually going to make you money and bring it to your bank account. It's a whole different ball game moving from demo to live. And this is what you have to learn to get used to. Otherwise, you're not going to get results. Because as I said at the start of the video, if it's desirable, if it's something that you want, most likely it means that you're going to have to take risks and you're going to have to embrace these uncertainty, which means getting used to having these emotional spikes. But yeah, that was everything I wanted to talk about in this video, and I hope you guys found some insight and I got the point across. If you enjoy transparent content like this, then please leave a like on the video, leave a comment on what you think, and subscribe. But that just about wraps it up, so hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay happy, stay blessed, and thanks for watching.